Welcome to the concert hall of Indonesian Institute of the Arts Yogyakarta.
In our very special event tonight, the IBLA Grand Prize International Competition Winners Concert.
In celebrating the 500th anniversary of Leonardo da Vinci legacies.
Before we start this IBLA Foundation New York City Asia tour, let us hear some opening speech.
So first we have Director of Indonesian Institute of the Arts Yogyakarta, to Mr. Professor Dr. M. Agus Burhan M. The time and place is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat malam, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dear Director IBLA Foundation, Mr. Salvatore Baltasar, Mr. Warwick Passer, Dean and Vice Dean of Faculty Performing Arts ISI Yogyakarta, all artists IBLA, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to ISI Yogyakarta. On behalf of Indonesia Institute of the Arts Yogyakarta, or ISI Yogyakarta, I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to welcome all participants of International Concert Winner Music Competitions of IBLA Foundations at Concert Hall ISI Yogyakarta. I'm sorry, I will continue in Bahasa Indonesia to explain about IBLA to our academic member, especially our students and our lecturers. Ibu dan Bapak sekalian, IBLA Foundation New York mendharma baktikan upayanya untuk menemukan bakat-bakat baru musikal dari anak-anak muda, dan setiap summer ratusan musisi dan komposer dari seluruh dunia bergabung dalam kompetisi musik internasional IBLA ini. Setiap tahun, pemenang-pemenang penghargaan IBLA dibantu untuk memantapkan karir lewat konser mereka, juga untuk memperoleh akses venue-venue pertunjukan dan kontak-kontak profesional. Oleh karena itu, IBLA Foundation ini sungguh sangat membuka jalan dan kesempatan pada para musisi dan komposer muda, utamanya juga dari Civitas Akademika, jurusan musik di ISI Yogyakarta. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ISI Yogyakarta, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude and deepest appreciation to Director IBLA Foundation, all artists IBLA, participants, all lecturer and student, music department, faculty performing art, ISI Yogyakarta, and master's class program in today, and the committee who have actively contributed to success this concert. Hopefully, the outcomes of the International Concert Winner Music Competitions of IBLA Foundations will be beneficial of us, IBLA Indonesia and ISI Yogyakarta, enhance the mutual cooperation years to come. Have a great time of the IBLA Prize Winner Concert. Thank you very much.
Next, we have our honored guest, President of IBLA Foundation, who will also explain a little bit of
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight, for taking your time to be with us tonight. I will first IBLA. What is IBLA IBLA? In case you forget, it's here. So IBLA.org, you can get all the information you want from our t-shirts. IBLA Ibla is the southernmost town in Italy, in Sicily. So it's a town where we select every summer hundreds of musicians perform night and day, all week, and then we choose the best performers and we present them to you on their way to their debut to Tokyo, and then they will do a tour of the USA in America and for their debut at Carnegie Hall in New York. So that's the general shape. Those of you who have any questions or anything, always remember ibla.org, write an email, we respond. So, and now I just want to now again say thank you to all the people directly involved in these efforts for tonight. Warwick Purser, #1 supporter, thank you so very much. And Nurbi Ardian. And we had this fantastic experience today with the students of this amazing academy. Very talented students, excellent professors. So I would like to thank Eritha Sitorus and Gatut Bintarto. Thank you very much for what you did for us today. Your students are amazing. And it was a pleasure to work with them. We look forward to hear them again. It was a great experience. And of course, guys, where are the two of you there? Rafli Pradanto and Patricia Gaberato. Thank you so much for your patience. We start our evening with a quick presentation about Leonardo da Vinci. To speak about Leonardo da Vinci is almost impossible because there is so much to say about him. It's impossible to speak about him. You need an entire week. So in a few minutes, we will address one part of Leonardo, which is Leonardo as a musician. How many of you knew that Leonardo was a musician? He was a musical. How many of you knew that? Very few people, maybe only 1, 2, 3. So Leonardo was actually famous during his life for being a musician. He made more money being a musician than he did in another way, even as a painter. Leonardo was a person that everyone wanted around because he brought with him amazing musicians. They would put up performances, shows, and many of the technology, the machines we find in all his drawings are made for the stage. So there would be like a beautiful stage like this, or for a wedding, or simply for a party in the court where he was staying, and they would build up these beautiful stages with all the satellite and the moons circling around and singers coming in the middle of the stage. He was really a stage guy, a stage producer, a composer. He was a fun guy to be around. And this is something that we forget about Leonardo. He knew music well. They say actually that he was an excellent singer. When he went to Milano, where then he painted The Last Supper, the first painting, he went there the first time as a musician. The Medici family, and he was very close friends to the Medici family, to Lorenzo. Lorenzo de' Medici, they were very close friends. And he sent them there to Milano as a trio. Was Leonardo. He brought with him a singer, a beautiful young singer, an excellent singer, Atlante was his name, and another guy, third guy, that was called Zoroastro, which was into alchemy. So this trio goes to Milano as a delegation of music and alchemy. Very, again, people that can entertain easily any important guests of any court in Italy of the time. So Leonardo has this music and performer side to him that is everywhere in his artwork. So talking about now Leonardo as a musician, let's think about what was happening around Leonardo at the time. Politically, you know Italy of the time. 1492, Christopher Columbus finds America. And Leonardo is 40 years old. So this happens in the middle of his life. We had popes in Rome named Giulio, Alessandro, Julio after Julius Caesar. Giulio Cesare, a Roman emperor, Alessandro, after Alexandro Magno, Alexander the Great, just to understand what the culture was at the time, what kind of popes we had at the time. Then there is Savonarola in Florence, which instead makes the artists feel bad for being too free in their depictions, and it was bringing the more severe, austere part of the church. So Botticelli eventually burns his own paintings because he felt that he was not producing work that were in grace of God. So this is the world where Leonardo is living. There are wars. The French eventually come to Milano, and Leonardo has to leave Milano. So it's a complicated world. In the middle of this, he also gets arrested the entire summer because of being suspected as being gay. And the same Botticelli has this problem, and Josquin des Prez and other musicians. So historically, this is where we are in Italy at the time. Now, for music, I want to talk to you quickly about Guido d'Arezzo. Right? Guys who are ready with Guido d'Arezzo. Guido d'Arezzo is a famous Italian musician and a theory, famous person. He created the theory of the music of the notes. And he's the guy that created the notes as we know them today. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. Those notes were written by Guido d'Arezzo within a chant, a song for St. John. The words of the songs were ut, in Latin, ut queat laxis, re sonare fibris, mi ragestorum, fa mulituorum, sol ve polluti, la Bireatum, si, Sancte Ioannes. So we have ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. These are the notes with Guido d'Arezzo. This is what Leonardo knows. Now, we are going to play two of the most famous themes of Guido d'Arezzo, which is music that Leonardo knew really well. It was the music that you hear at the time. Second theme. These songs, what you're singing right now, la 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 sol fa, re mi la sol fa, mi re, la Vergine Maria, the Virgin Mary, la sola, the only one who can make me king. The Virgin Mary is the only one that can make me a king. So the words of the notes have a content, a poetry content. This is important because what you see behind are songs by Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo would compose the themes like this, and then improvisation. He was an excellent player of lyra, and then they would do improvisation. They were vocal and they were instrumental. So now we are going to sing for you some fragments of Leonardo and how these things could be performed at the time. Now Leonardo da Vinci. L'amore mi fa sollazzare. and if you read in the back, amore, la, sol, mi, fa, re, mi, ra, re. Love is the only thing that makes me think twice and makes me very careful. Love, amore, la, sol, the only thing, la sola cosa, the only thing, mi fa remirare, that makes me, fa, mi, remirare. Think twice. Be careful. I'm careful when I'm in love. Thank you, guys. And here we have sol, la, fe. Leonardo writes fe, not fa. Fe, because it's not the note fa, but it's the word fe, which means faith. Only faith in God, mi fa, gives me hope. Mi fa sperare. Only faith gives me hope. So this is the straight connection between Guido d'Arezzo and the music of Leonardo. Now, this is the poetry, this is the sound of Leonardo. Now, with Leonardo, we have to try to see what is invisible. Behind every image of Leonardo, there are things that are invisible that we are going to try today to make visible. Leonardo wrote that music had una malattia, a disease. Music disappears. We don't, once we hear music, music is gone. And Leonardo was like, I want to do something to fix that. That's something with music that I want to overcome. At the time of Leonardo, you learned trivial, quadrivial. Trivial was for the lawyers, to become a lawyer. So you did grammar, you did rhetoric, so you learned how to write and speak as a lawyer. Then there was a quadrivial, so that was the university of the time. Quadrivial, you started with math, mathematics, geometry, astronomy, and then music. You had to be first a mathematician, a geometra, an astronomer, and then you could be a musician. So music was considered the highest level of the time. What Leonardo tries to do, and that's his intention, he says, I want to bring painting at a higher level, even higher than music, by bringing music inside the paintings. How do you do that? And here we go, what was happening at the time. So we are 1492 America. But before, when Leonardo was born, 1450, 52, 53, it had happened already in the 20s, 30s, but 1453, Constantinople becomes Muslim. The Muslim Empire takes over Constantinople as all the people from, the scholars from Constantinople, all the Greek scholars move to Sicily, they moved to Napoli, because the south of Italy is where people were speaking Greek. And they moved to Venice, from Venice go also to Florence. So when he was born, this was happening all over. So Cosimo de' Medici, and so Lorenzo de' Medici, they all were fascinated by all these scholars. They came from Constantinople and they knew all the ancient Greek language and texts. We got the text through them, and Europe got the text also through the Muslim culture, because all the Muslim sultans and leaders were translating the ancient writings of the Greeks and the Latins in Arabic, and actually they would pay as much gold, as much as one book was of a weight. One book, so much gold. So you can imagine how many people were actively translating in Arabic. And because of that, many books survived into Europe later on. So with all these people in Italy speaking Greek, you have some people, important people from Venice. Even Cardinale Pietro Bembo, as a young man with his friends, was sent to Messina to study 2 years Greek there. These people found all these Greek writings, all the Greek knowledge of 2000 before Leonardo. They were fascinated by that. There is a guy called Pythagoras. Do you know Pythagoras? In mathematics, you know Pythagoras. You know that Pythagoras was in Crotone, Calabria, the south of Italy, the tip of the boot before Sicily is Crotone. That was Pythagoras. Then there was Archimedes, which was called Archimedes Pythagorico. And Archimedes was in Sicily, in Syracuse. These people had produced so much research in mathematics, in geometry, that people like Leonardo, all the friends of Leonardo, all the court itself, the Medici themselves, the Sforza themselves, they had teachers, they were spreading the passion for these concepts. Let's see which concepts affected Leonardo's mind in music. Pythagoras. Pythagoras, I need the violinist. Camilla. Pythagoras had a school of mathemata. People that were learning geometry and they were good in geometry. These people were called the mathemata. They were like initiated people. They could be part of the school of Pythagoras. Camilla will now show us what Pythagoras found out in music that became also numbers. Camilla, let's start with the sound, a La.
Okay, I play La.
This is a La. If this string we cut in half, so half, 1, 2, half, you have octave, the higher octave. So remember, La is number 1. The octave is in a relation of 1 to 2. 1, 2. Now, the same string, she's going to divide in 3 parts, and so she will play 2/3. 2/3. Now play La and then Mi. La, then Mi. So we have an octave, and then we have the 5th. Now dividing in 3/4, we have the 4th. So we have La, octave, 5th, and 4th. The numbers are 1, 2, 3, and 4. This connection from the physical world to the world of the sounds of music with very clear numbers was fascinating to them. They went crazy for this. So imagine number 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a triangle. Look at the middle later on. Oh, at the time they also have notes. They were square, they were triangles, they were also circles. With Pythagoras we have a triangle and we have the number 10 inside. Thank you, Camilla. So let's keep this in mind until the end with Leonardo, the triangle as a shape and the number 10 as a reference of a number. Now, next image. I don't know if you are familiar with this image. This is the symbol for Archimedes Pythagorico. Archimedes went crazy for searching the relationship between a cylinder and a sphere. People already 600 years before Christ, so 2,600 years before, they knew the Earth was suspended, was a cylinder. There is lots of history before that. But here we are with Archimedes. He finds out that the sphere occupies 2/3 within the cylinder. If you look at this, look at something else also, the circle and the square. If you look at the cylinder and you flatten this image, you see a square and a circle. keep this in mind for Leonardo as well. What Archimedes is trying to figure out is the relationship between a square, a circle, between a straight line and a curve. They were fascinated by that because when people were on their boats going from Sicily to Libya, from Greece to Egypt, and going back, the first thing they saw was the mountain, and then they saw the port. On their ship, they saw the top first, and then they saw the beach. So they knew there was a curve. The earth was a curve. And this is a very ancient knowledge that brought Archimedes to understand that the earth was in fact a sphere, because water, when he screamed Eureka, Eureka, he understood that water was filling all the empty spots. So if there is a curve, earth must be a sphere. So when Leonardo and his friends found out that 2,500 years before, 2,300 years before, people already knew these things, they were fascinated. They kept buying books, getting books, and reading. Leonardo had a collection of over 150 books. For the time, it was a big private collection. They went crazy. Next image. Next. If you look now at the soccer ball is a very complex sphere. This shows what? That in order to measure a circle or a sphere, what they did, they tried to straighten the curve. So within a sphere or within a circle, they designed triangles, all triangles. By doing many triangles, you transform the sphere in many, many straight little lines. So this strive of straightening the curve, or square and polygons, pentagons, into the circle is deeply part of Leonardo's thinking. So remember the Leonardo's man, square, circle. The message is, maybe the human being is the connection between the circle and the square. Today with a computer, we know that a circle and a square can never match. It's impossible. But at the time, they tried to, and Leonardo proposed the human being as the connection between the circle and the square. Next image. Even a dome that was a major construction in Florence, a dome that we all think as round, is the octagons. And Leonardo was involved in the Verrocchio school. He was involved technologically also on putting the lead ball 2 tons heavy on top of the church. So technologically, this was happening around Leonardo within the same Verrocchio school workshop where he was staying. He was learning music there, he was learning mathematics, he was applying all these concepts to all these arts, including painting. Next. And now here we come up with what are the magic numbers. Archimedes had found the pi. The pi was the number 314, the radius within the circle, infinite number. The infinite is an important concept. Remember, for the concept of infinite, we had people that were burned by the church because they wouldn't give up the sense of the infinite. So we have Filippo Giordano Bruno got burned in the year 1600 because of that. So here we have the gold ratio, gold number. You have a rectangular. From this rectangular, cut out the square, center of the square with a compass, you go like this, go down, and you find the extension of the rectangular. This rectangular has a proportion in this line between A and F and F and D. The square and the other rectangle on this side are in a proportion of 1.618 infinite number. This is the gold number, the gold ratio that you will find all over Leonardo's images. So let's remember this rectangle in the proportion of 1.816. Next, This is the base of the rectangle. We have a longer section, a smaller section, A and B. This section is regulated by this infinite number. The concept is, the longer and the shorter, there is a relationship between these two. It's a harmonic relation. So with Leonardo, we use the concept of harmony. Not beauty, harmony. De divina proporzione, the divine harmony, divine proporzione. So forget the word beauty, especially the Italian word bellezza. Beauty comes from bellum, which means war. Has nothing to do with the Leonardo's beauty. It's proportions, harmony. The larger section, you can call the larger section the parents, the small section the child. So the child accepts with harmony the authority of the parents. And the parents take care of the child with harmony. Then the family works. This concept is extended to everything. It can be the politicians taking care of the society. And therefore, if there is harmony in the relationship, everything works. And goes all the way in the universe. It goes between human beings and nature. If human beings take good care of nature, nature will take good care of human beings. So this golden number, golden ratio, has enormous philosophical consequences. Okay, next image. This gold ratio, this number, is also called the Phi from Phidia, a sculpture that made all the decoration in the Parthenon. And if you can see, within this square, you find the classic constructions. So the first rectangular has a square, there is a leftover rectangular. You do the same thing, cut a square and you have another rectangular. The other rectangular, you cut a square, you have another rectangular. And you can do this for infinity, never ends. The same image you will see in Leonardo as well. And another thing to be noticed here at the bottom of the temple, because the struggle around the straight line and the curve was ancient. In fact, all the Greek temples that we have in Sicily, all the Greek temples you will find in Greece, the base is not straight, it's slightly curved. So remember this concept of curve and straight line. This concept goes that far that today, until 1905, we have Einstein demonstrating that the light is not going in a straight line. Even the light itself goes on a curve. So we can see a star that is behind the sun because that light reaches us in a curve. So straight line curves are fascinating concepts, still today. Next. We go back to this rectangular, and again with the compass, from this side, you trace that curve. Then you do the same thing in the next square, another curve, and from the other one, another curve. All these fragments of circle, these curves, in this golden ratio, become a spiral, an infinite spiral. This infinite spiral is also found in nature, in a sunflower, in a shell. You find it in a ginger flower. Everything in nature grows with angles that reflect this golden ratio. And this concept connects with another teacher of Leonardo, Leonardo Fibonacci, which he created the school where Leonardo studied mathematics. Fibonacci found the same ratio, the same numbers. And eventually Keplero later on connected things together. But these infinite numbers, the fact that 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3, 3 plus 2 equals 5, all these numbers are in Leonardo. Mathematics, if you have 3 plus 2, you have 5 in a line, right? 3 plus 2 equals 5. But if you go back to Pythagoras, and you have the square of 3 plus the square of 2, it's no longer 5. The result is what? 13. So mathematics, there is a linear mathematics, but then there is a geometric mathematics that has different results, different numbers. So I'm telling you just fragments, little things, to understand how the mind of Leonardo and his friends was fascinated by these concepts, and how these concepts of numbers, music, and geometry, and therefore the world, the universe, the planets, everything enters his paintings. Next. And here you see these systems applied. You can see, it's like a self-explanatory, I have nothing to say, right? Next. You can see here there's much more after the square, after the circle. The light comes to our face, right? What do you see? Proportion between here and here, golden proportion. From here to here, again golden proportion. Golden proportions all around our bodies. They could find everything. The foot gives the measurement of the foot, because they didn't have the meter at the time. The foot was also an element of the measurement. All these come into Leonardo. Light is coming to a face. There is not a straight line. Light is sfumato, creates no lines. That's where the Mona Lisa has no lines. It was against lines. That's one of the things with Michelangelo that he hated about Michelangelo, was the lines, this conception. Next. And then you can enter the world of fantasy. You can find all these things everywhere, in every corner of every painting of Leonardo. Next. And now I will try to be quick with this image. You all know it, right? And there are many explanations. I give you the one from a musician. Leonardo writes very clearly, describes how a string vibrates. If you touch a string, it vibrates this way. The sound goes out, goes behind. The sound moves because there is air. So you have in the back the blue sky of the back and mountains in the back. You see everything blue. Why? Because there is air. Leonardo wants to tell us that even the visual changes because of the air, becomes blue. You don't see blue mountains, but they look blue because there is a distance. And the distance is given also by a sound. Then Jesus is got a specific moment when he says, I truly, truly tell you that one of you will betray me. It's a major statement. The word, the Jewish culture, the Christian religion cultures come from the word, la parola, the word. The word is what? Sound. Everything comes from the sound of God, the word of God. Jesus is saying here, one of you will betray me. But he's not, his lips are closed, he's barely open. He's just saying, you don't see it said. Because Jesus represents God in this moment, everything emanates from God, so there's not an active source of the sound, but emanates. This all different comes, they come from Plato and Aristotle, and they put together by Plotinus. It's all philosophy that comes before. So Leonardo is presenting all this line of philosophy. So God, Jesus is in a triangle, one hand like this, one hand like this. With the left hand he's saying, I accept my destiny, this is what I'm going to do. The right hand is almost a little bit resistant. You will find also in other famous painting this position. So from Jesus comes the vibration. The vibration is strong. And Leonardo says, the sound is conducive in a certain way that all the way to the end, or to the other end, you will hear less, you will not hear. So the apostles on the two sides are saying, what happened? What did you say? Did you really say that? They don't know. Instead, the apostle right to his left James, the elderly, is like, what happened? He receives the first sound and his arms are totally open. The other one, St. Matthew is saying with a finger that will touch him, and Jesus will say, what did you say? I can't believe it. Right? And so each one of them has these reactions that are different based on how close they are to the origin of sound. St. John is the only one with the hands like this, circle like this, who knows that there's nothing can be done. This destiny will occur. So I invite you to look at Leonardo's when you can in terms of music. Imagine this string, these vibrations. You can imagine notes, all colors at the time we're connected with music. So each apostle has one color. The color goes into the dish. The dish was made of a metal called peltro. The dish reflects the color of the apostles. So even colors, music, their feet. We don't have Jesus' feet because they opened the door later, but even the feet have specific positions. And this can be called the first Italian opera. Look at those hands. One hand, St. Peter the talks, pulls St. John. And St. James, the younger one, that reaches for St. Peter, saying, what happened? And the knife behind. Hands all over the place along this vibration of sound. That's why we can call it an Italian opera. Thank you so much, and we start with the real opera.